So I'll try to limit myself within 45 minutes, 15 minutes for discussion. And the subject is make room for peace. And here I'll not discuss about internal peace. ମୁଁ ନିଜେ କେମିତି ଶାନ୍ତିରେ ରହିବି, ମୋ ପରିବାର କେମିତି ଶାନ୍ତିରେ ପରିବାର probably we will come within that, but the kind of peace that others talk about, internal peace, how do I realize that and all, bliss, peace, I mean that kind of stuff I'm not talking about. This is mostly external peace that we are talking about. The immediate context is this Israel-Hamas war. Immediate context, which has been going on for today is the 37th day. That is the immediate context. And the Russia-Ukraine war is going on and on since February 22, 2022. And we can even go further backward, because Russia-Ukraine enmity and skirmishes have been going on for a very long time. And if you go into the history of Israel-Hamas war, it might go to 1,000 years. Immediately we can go up to 48 with UN settling Jews coming from all over the world to that place. And they said, okay, you live here. And subsequently they tried to live there and gradually expanding their territory, which the Palestinians, they think of their own. And that led to consecutive wars. Israel and Palestine have fought 5 wars before, and this probably is the 6th war. And all those 5 wars were fought by different entities. Latest is Hamas. Now, what exactly do I mean by peace? Is it mere absence of violence or freedom from disturbance? Or is it a natural state of being? Say, this kind of tranquility, everybody is in peace. Right? My answer is peace could be both. Can we go to the second slide, please? Peace could be both. And I tell that it could be negative peace, which could be termed as absence of violence and the absence of fear of violence. Let's say, for example, Danga hela. Violence, police lathi charge kala, curfew kardela, samaste ghare rahile. Peace, ain shrunkhala asigala, shanti asigala, sahar. But actually that's not peace. That is peace because there is further, people are not going out because there is further fear of violence. Jodi bahar ko jibo, police will chale. So that's one kind of peace. Despite its simplicity, it's a deeply profound definition, because people often have been taught that as simply as the absence of war is no peace. And the second one probably could be positive peace. When you actually feel comfortable going out, will you actually feel that suddenly one morning nobody will kind of raise my house or loot my house? You're comfortable living in a society, in a community, that kind of peace. And I'm talking for the next 40 minutes about this second kind of peace. Violence, we all know, impede peace. Those of you who are film aficionados, film lovers, they will remember this dialogue from KGF. That's a trash movie, but it's a hit, huge hit, in which the hero says, violence, 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 I hate violence. So this video I wanted to show, it marked the beginning of the end of one of the most fierce war in modern human history, that's Second World War. One of the last, fleet which is going to that side to kind of put an end to the Second World War.
In the dawn of the 6th of June, 1944, the armada of the Allied nations set forth across the English Channel and drew near the heavily fortified beaches of occupied France. With the same camera that he used for home movies on Gunga Din, my father began his color film diary. The flagship Belfast was designated to fire the first volley of the invasion. He saw the captain read to his men assembled on the deck from Shakespeare, Henry V. "We few, we happy few, we band of brothers, for he today who sheds his blood with me shall be my brother." This film came on, and it was sort of gray blue skies and barrage balloons, those big things that hung in the sky. And it was on a ship. It turned out the HMS Belfast. And it was, suddenly I realized, the morning of the 6th of June, the beginning of the greatest seaborne invasion in history. And I had this feeling that my eyes were the first eyes that hadn't been there who were seeing this day in color. And I watched this film unfold, and on this ship, and all these men with their flak jackets in anticipation of this day.
And here are some photographs of Israel Hamas. This is the first day when Hamas call it extremists, call it patriots, call it ଆପଣ ଯାହା ବି କହିପାରନ୍ତି ତାକୁ ଗୋଟେ ଦୃଷ୍ଟିରୁ ଯଦି ପାଲେଷ୍ଟାଇନ୍ ଦୃଷ୍ଟିରୁ ଦେଖିବେ ସେମାନେ ଫ୍ରିଡମ୍ ଫାଇଟର, ଦେ ଆର୍ ଫାଇଟିଂ ଫର୍ ଦେୟାର ଓନ୍ ରାଇଟ୍। ଆମ ଘରୁ ତୋଡ଼ି ଦିଆହେଉଛି ତ ଆମେ ତ ଫାଇଟ୍ ବ୍ୟାକ୍ କରିବୁ ନା। From this side, from that side, they are extremists, terrorists, whatever. So it's all often said that one country is terrorist, other countries probably patriot. Bhagat Singh was termed as terrorist, right? We call him one of our greatest patriot. So this is the first the evening when they entered, cutting the huge barriers, and they flew in, and they also fired 5,000 plus rockets. Why did they fire so many rockets? Ekte rocket kahinki semane sedino kale 5,000 to 7,000 rockets, tar bi gote karana achi, se bishare ame pare asiba. And this is the retaliation, Israel bombing Gaza. And now here are some video and photographs of Russia-Ukraine war, which started in February 22, 2022.
Russia has deployed launching systems capable of sending deadly thermobaric rockets at Ukrainian targets.
एकदम सिमिलर लगुनी चित्र गुड़ाक, ये पैलेस्टाइन रे, ये यूक्रेन रे, खाली लोको गुड़ाक का चेहरा छड़ा या पर मु इंडिया भी देखेबी, खाली लोको मानकर फीचर छड़ा तांकर स्थिति, तांका आखिरे जो वेदना, जो यंत्रणा, सी समान, ये भी समान, कि मैंने चाली जाऊँ चुनते डिस्प्लेसमेंट, that which follows any kind of war or any kind of violence, right? We have had the misfortune of witnessing the largest kind of displacement that human history has ever witnessed in 1947. Over 100,000 lakh kotiye delagati loko from that side Punjab to this side Bengal. ସେମାନେ either ଏପଟକୁ ଆସିଛନ୍ତି ବା ଏପଟୁ ସେପଟକୁ ଯାଇଛନ୍ତି, displacement. But anyways they were displaced. So ସେ ପିକ୍ଚର ବି ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ଦେଖେଇବି, ସେମ୍ ଏଠି ଖାଲି ପୋଷାକଟା ଅଲଗା ଅଛି, ପିକ୍ଚର ସେମ୍। ସେଇ ଯନ୍ତ୍ରଣା ସେଇ ପିଲାଙ୍କୁ ନେଇକି କରିବା. This is one cartoon by my friend Paresh Rath. And he says, he puts in Putin there, we can put anybody there. We can put Netanyahu there. We can put Hamas chief there. We can put anybody there. Are you ready to dance with multiple partners? When there is a war, these are the immediate fallouts. All these. Falling living standards, hurt economy, bloodshed, this, that, it happens. This is another cartoon by my friend, Bangalore-based cartoonist Ponappa, who says, no man is an island. Look at war symmetry. Hamas killed about 150, 200, 500, whatever. Israel so far has killed 10,000. And Netanyahu declared, एक के बदले 5. And they have fired rocket, we will put in bombs. We have more firepower, as simple as that. But both are put under the same ground. This is a partition violence, picture of partition violence. Next. I can show many more pictures. But let us come to other points as well. Hunger and disease also impede peace. Example, Africa. In several countries, famine devastated their country. And it follows violence. This is, there's a video of the famine of Bengal in 1943, in which people of Punjab, they called for help, to help the people of Bengal. This is a video. Next. War triggers genocide, forced displacement, and we have witnessed that closer home also. Next. This is again a picture. Remember that picture in Ukraine? People flying, people going out, and pleading their home. The same kind of picture, see? Only the clothes are different. Because it's a cold country, they are wearing more winter wear. Because they are richer than we used to be. In 1947, we looked ragged. ଆମେ ଟିକେ ଗରିବ ଗରିବ ଦିଶୁଛି, ସେମାନେ ଟିକେ ବଡ଼ ଲୋକ ଦିଶୁଛନ୍ତି, because ସେମାନେ ଟିକେ ବଡ଼ ଲୋକ ଅଛନ୍ତି, ଆମେ ସେତେବେଳେ ଗରିବ ଥିଲେ, କିନ୍ତୁ ଯେଉଁ ଭାବରେ ଯାଉଛନ୍ତି ତାଙ୍କ ସମାନ. This is a very famous picture. ट्रेन, ये पंजाब रू आसुला ये ट्रेन. ये दिल्ली रो गोटे पिक्चर आफ्टर 1947 जो शरणार्थी मानक रिसेटल करागला दिल्ली रे ए बेले शरणार्थी माने रोकथिले. द सेम पिक्चर विल फाइंड इन गाजा. अन्य माने तो तांको नो नाथि वर्तमान भी एबे ताकर खोली जति कोन. Otherwise all Arab countries they denied. तांको आमे नबानी. We can pay them lip service, we can pay them some money, but we are not going to take them in. Sharanarthi Manu, no. They have their own compulsions. We are not going into international politics, but probably we should, and we would probably. This is a very famous picture. Famine, degradation of environment, that also leads to violence. This is a very famous picture. The photographer is Kevin Carter. He took this photograph. When this baby was crawling towards ये जो पिलाटा सामने देखना थी, ये पिलाटा ना गोटे जगह गोटे फूड दिया जाउथला, ताड़ को crawl करके जाउथला. This vulture was following this baby. Kevin was there. He took photograph, and then he had to leave because his chopper was leaving. And the violence was raging somewhere, so he was forced to leave. Irony is, this baby survived. Kevin didn't. He committed suicide 1 month later because of one phone call. There was a radio program. Kevin was being interviewed live. Somebody rang up. You phone in live ring phone karo. Somebody rang up. I see 2 vultures there. One behind the baby, one behind the camera. Next day, Kevin committed suicide. But ता परदिन से जो फोटोग्राफर सी आत्महत्या करदेले कारण जड़े तांको कहला एई जो फोटो रे आपण उठेइचंती आ जोथि पय आपण पुलिसर अवार्ड पाइले से परवर्ती समय तो ना बोधे पुलिसर अवार्ड पाइबा पर ही ये घटनाटा जो एते बड़ आपण को पुलिसर अवार्ड मिलला एठी गोटे में दीटा सागुण अछि गोटे सागुण से पिला पछरे आ गोटे सागुण कैमरा पछरे ता परदिन से आत्महत्या करदेले but that's not related to my subject but just for your information about this photograph so again same picture एटी बुरखा पिंचंती जेकोनोसी शरणार्थी शिविर रे एया पिक्चर एया एटी हाथ रे धरचंती because they are very poor African countries सेटी से माने टिके धाडी बांधी के ठिया हेतिबे एया but जिंसो एया climate change also might lead to violence because climate change will lead to displacement and that displacement will kind of impact livelihood of many and they will be forced to move elsewhere and there will be violence. There has been violence. So humanitarian crisis hotspot जदि देखिबा but international rescue committee से माने प्रति वर्ष गोटे हॉटस्पॉट को करथि आइडेंटिफाई करके ये करते जे ये गुडा को होची हमरो ह्यूमैनिटेरियन क्राइसिस तो सेथिरे they are saying that the global list of humanitarian crises that are expected to deteriorate the most over the coming years for the last so many years about 5-8 years the situation is deteriorating and this is expected to deteriorate further. That is their assessment. And the worst form of violence we are looking at, besides these two which got more space in media, Palestine and this thing, is Africa, the African countries. It's continuing, because it's in Africa, it doesn't come to limelight. It doesn't occupy space in media. And space that's given by media is the space that our mind occupies. And that's why media is important because it frames what becomes important for us. If I देखिए जे कौन हुई? I mean 340 million people worldwide in humanitarian need. Including people from Gaza, including people from Ukraine, 100 million displaced. IRC expert analysis clearly identifies 3 major accelerators of humanitarian crisis. One is armed conflict, climate change, and economic turmoil. And all 3 are interlinked. ये तीनटा जाक interlinked जदि आपण closely देखिबे. Now look at the hotspot countries and the causes. एबे में देखिबा जे जो peace war होची large scale violence होची we are witnessing lack of peace in social space. What are the major reasons? यदि हमें ये list को देखिबा जोटा hotspot countries बोले identify करचंती the side रे देखंतु सोमालिया रे religious extremism गोटे major factor civil war गोटे factor land rights गोटे factor ये होची factor there are groups very radical, and religious, how should I put it, very radical groups who are ultra religious probably, like say Al-Shabaab or Boko Haram or even Hamas, right? So they kind of perpetrate worst form of violence. Somalia, they, everywhere. In Afghanistan, Taliban, whatever. যদি আমি কজ ম্যাট্রিক্সটাকে দেখিবা তাহলে আমি দেখিবা বেসিক অর্জ হচ্ছে বাপটর চারটা অর্জটা গোটে হচ্ছে সার্ভাইভাল ফর প্যালেস্টিনিয়ান্স অলসো দিস ইজ কাইন্ড অফ দেয়ার আইডেন্টিটি দেয়ার সার্ভাইভাল গোটে হচ্ছে গ্রিড এক্সপ্যানশন আপনার আହୁରି 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 মর দরকার আହୁରି তেল দরকার আହୁରି সোনা দরকার Africa is ravaged over centuries because of the greed of mostly the Europeans. আপনি যদি হিস্ট্রি দেখিবে পর্তুগাল প্রথমে আরম্ভ করতে তারপরে ফরওয়ার্ড বাই স্পেন ଆଉ ଅନ୍ୟାନ୍ୟ ଦେଶମାନେ ଆଫ୍ରିକାକୁ ଗଲେ ଏବଂ ସେମାନେ ଧନୀ ହେଲେ ଏମାନଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ ପ୍ରଥମେ ତ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଉଠେଇ ଆଣିକି କ୍ରୀତଦାସ କରିଦେଲେ and they got human resources free. तापर खोजी पाइले बोला सोना भी अच्छी हीरा भी अच्छी whatever greed dominance again mood last is revenge which in certain cultures is kind of very sacrosanct. If you don't take revenge आपण जदी आपण को बापा को हमको हत्या करचंती आपण जदी ताको ओटा को हत्या न कले ताले आपण मनुष्य भितर गणा and it continues pidi pare pidi and in certain cultures it's ingrained chua belu ko hochi badla these are the basic order form kon hobo form hochi political he pare religious economic social military it can take other forms as well. Paul Goodman gote bhalo boi likhchenti so there is basically 8 main causes of war he has detailed. One is economic gain about which we all know. Second is territorial gain about also which we know. Among Raja Maharaja मैंने भी सही करते थे आक्रमण करके आगे चल जाता नहीं है महाभारत रामायण में भी अच्छे हमारे. Third is religion. In fact, religion has killed more people than all the causes put together. From jihad to crusade to dharma yuddh, religion has killed more people. Nationalism, or should I say the jingoistic muscular nationalism. Nationalism per se is good, but when it acquires the picture of jingoistic muscular nationalism, then it becomes a problem, both for them and for others, mostly for the others. तापरे होची civil war, तापरे होची revolutionary war, तापरे होची defensive war. ये तीन type रो war से जो detail करचंती, येटा आपण को दृष्टिରୁ जो गोटे हेई पारे अन्य जन को दृष्टिରୁ आउ गोटे जिंस आउ गोटे हेई पारे. एबे 2022 रो ग्लोबल पीस इंडेक्स टा को जदी आपण देखिबे खाली देखिबे नाली जेतिकी सेतिकी बेसी वायलेंट एई ताकर सेटा मैप करछ एटा 2022 अर्थात ये 21 रो डेटा नेकी करा हिच 22 रो ग्लोबल पीस इंडेक्स रो जदी की रिजल्ट गुडा को हमें देखिबा ताहले होची एटा. Militarization has improved in 113. It is out a important finding. All over the world, not only the countries that I told that they are at war presently, all countries, सारा दुनिया में 200 केते कंट्री अछि. ता भितर 113 देशरो militarization has improved. That means that the government is spending more money on military, on defense in the last 8 years. Actually, जो civilization grow करिवो, logic को जो सभ्यता बढ़िवो, सेते बेले आस्ते 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 military ऊपर खर्चटा कमिबा कथा. Logic, plain and simple logic. आमे आपण आदिम होचु कि समस्त ऊपर खाली माडगोळ होतु. Let's live in peace. Trade बढ़िलानी, commerce बढ़िलानी. जिते business बढ़िवो सेते बेले केवल weapon industry को छाडी देले बाकी सब industry they want conducive atmosphere which can only be provided by peace, except weapon industry. We industry kotha kochi, black marketeers kotha kochi. Black marketeers manako pai war bhalo, kana crisis is. Jadole crisis is jibo gote goshti tar labh utheba arambho karibe. We have seen that in our country also. But anyways, so that's something very strange happening all over. Second is terrorism continued to improve with 70 countries recording no attacks in 2021. This is the best result since 2008. Rise in costs has increased food insecurity, political instability. Peace को impede करुची, is negatively impacting peace. Now let's look at the cost of war. Let me rephrase this word. Let me look at what is the economic value of peace. ये ठीक अच्छी peace रहे हम समस्त शांति रहेगा, अमोग रहेगा, समोग रहेगा, एगुड़ा हम समस्त जानी चाहिए. But let's get down to numbers and figures. केते खर्चो होची, केते खेती हमरो हबो in terms of टंका, in terms of job loss, in terms of business loss, in terms of retardation of progress. Let's look at that. Economic cost देखंतु. एटा 2019 रो डेटा मु आपनको दोछि. लेटेस्ट मो पाखरे पहुंची नाही. 2019 रो डेटा अनुसारे it was estimated to be 14.4 trillion US dollars. गोटे US डॉलर actually 83 टका. तापरे निजे हिसाब कर. This is equivalent at that point of time 10.5% of the global gross domestic product, GDP. GDP रो 10%. युद्ध रे. ताको मो ए जो डॉलर टा थिला से समय रे मु ताको कैलकुलेट कर पकिन टका रे. मतलब कितने टका आबो मुंडो पिछा. मुंडो पिछा it comes 1.38 lakh. 800 crore. 2019 रे बहुत बे आउ टिके कम थिले 700 करोड़. It has deteriorated in the last 2 years because we have had two major wars raging from 2022. So this is the economic cost of war. Next, indirect economic cost हमें यदि देखिबा, then it reduces positive benefits that peacefulness has on macroeconomic performance of countries. And I told you, except the weapon industry, no other industry gains. Look at the huge tourism industry. They are completely shattered. Look at other industries. Social cost को यदि हमें देखिबा, social growth stunted ହେଇଯିବ, happiness there won't be any happiness. सबବେଳେ यदि अपन डर डर के रहिबे. Rise of anxiety, animosity leading to further violence. Now, more than 1.5 billion people now live in countries affected by violent conflict. And data shows, a data ta am pai important. Last line ta important jodi apan dekhibe. इंग्रजी रे लिखा कि से पे ओडिया रे कहि दोछि जो मानको तो कोनसी जो माने गरीब लो इनकम अछंती देश से माने अचीव करना थी जो मिलेनियम डेवलपमेंट गोल जोटा पर सस्टेनेबल गोल है कौन सी अचीव करना जो मैंने कॉन्फ्लिक्ट रिडन अच्छा गरीब देश कॉन्फ्लिक्ट देश में चली से करें नहीं विल बी अ रॉन्ग थिंग टू से करना दिस इज द सोशल कॉस्ट ऑफ वॉर violence can have psychological and physiological effects and that can go in generations because again I would go to the revenge thare violence ala mane se ethi roibo sie pura generation jibo ta pore bi jibo apna mane ko bhitere jo mane cinema देखुचंती चाइना गेट बोली गोटे सिनेमा आइला चाइना गेट रे दि जण अछंती गोटे मुसलमान कैरेक्टर आ गोटे हिंदू कैरेक्टर तो हिंदू कैरेक्टर टी ए माने समस्ते कोन गोटे जगह रे गोटे मर्सिनरी टीम हे के माने समस्ते आर्मी रे थे ए समस्त मर्सिनरी टीम हे कि गोटे जगह रे जाउछंती गोटे जगह रे डाकू उत्पाद करथले तो ये मर्सिनरी टीम टी सेठी जाउछंती से गांव वाला को बचेबा पई अनेक सोले टाइप रो किंतु इन दिस केस ए माने समस्त एक्स आर्मी मर्सिनरी टीम हे कि जाइछ तो गोटे समय रे जो हिंदू थी मुसलमान टी की कहूची कि हिंदू टी सब माने मुसलमान को तमा विश्वास करेनी ऑल्दो सी इंडियन आर्मी पे करची हैंड से फाइट करची जमा विश्वास करेनी गोटे सीन सी कहूची कि आपण इमिति काई होउचंती मु भी इंडियन एंड आई हैव फॉट फॉर इंडियन मिलिटरी व्हाई आर यू सेइंग दिस ही रिकॉल्स दैट ता बापा जेतेबेले पार्टीशन बेले आसी थिले से थिले पंजाब रे सी जेतेबेले पार्टीशन बेले आस्तिले सेते बेले तांको पड़ोसी किछि थिले जो माने या ऊपर अत्याचार करछथि he remembers that and as a result he even distrusts his colleague here in a completely different setup it remains it and in some culture it's kept purposefully तब बंचेई की रखा जाए तो बापा को या करी थिले तो नबा को पड़िबो stuff like that remains here though violence is contagious in nature all of us know अपन हमर 47 रो दंगा देखु ना Hindus and Muslims and Sikhs they have been living in this country for hundreds of years in relatively peaceful what atmosphere रोथिले ना नहीं हठात 1947 तीनटा दिन बा आउटिके जे हम स्ट्रेच करिबा 36 रो 47 भितरे कोन हला लक्ष लक्ष लोक पागल भलिया सम ये ताको सिए ताको मारिया पई लागिले स्त्री लोक मान को रैप करिबा पई लागिले छोटे पिला को मारिया पई लागिले कोन what happened what drove them to this kind of madness which took several years for even the perpetrators of this violence to reconcile. मु कौन कर देबी एई जिंस गुडाक एई जोटा एई लास्ट जो कथाटा कहली सेटा को आपण डेटा रे आनी परिबेनी एई कथाटा आपण बेसी माने कोन कहबी एप्रिशिएट कर परबे हृदय को नै परिबे जते बेले आपण परवर्ती समय रे लेखा पार्टीशन ऊपर लेखा नोवेल गुडी को पढ़िबे जो गीतांजलि श्रीकर जो नोवेल टी एबे बुकर इंटरनेशनल बुकर प्राइज पाइला रेत समाधि आई होप some of you have read that सितिर भी से नॉस्टैल्जिया टा पाइबे एबे गुटे बंगला नोवेल बाहर एबे 22 ना 21 रे देश रे पूजा संख्या सितिर भी से सेमती परपेट्रेट करथिला बट नाउ 50 वर्ष पर से 20 वर्ष जवान थिला कर दी 50 वर्ष पर से भाबुची एबे पछतौची मु कोन कर देली हम काई कर so people become mad एटा आपनकर सोशल साइकोलॉजिस्ट माने आउरी भलो भाबरे एक्सप्लेन कर परिवे ई फेनोमेना ता काई की but the fact is this happened and there is no reason why it won't happen again now witnessing or being a victim of violence can also increase the risk of future violence. Next. What is civilizational cost? What do we mean by civilizational cost? गोटे सभ्यता आगौच आप जानवे केमी सभ्यतार जो सोल आत्मा को आप जानवे मार्गारेट रीड बोले जड़े आंथ्रोपोलोजिस्ट अच्छा आपण मैंने गूगल रे सर्च कले ना पाइबे मार्गारेट रीड सी गोटे भल कथा कहते कहले सभ्यतार आरंभ केबे ना से गोटे फसिल आविष्कार कले जो जड़े मनीषर फेमुरटा एटा जंग हाड़टा तार गोटे फसिल से पाइले भंगा किंतु जोड़ी अर्थात एटा भांगी थिला एवं परवर्ती समय रे कि ताको जत्न करचंती जोथिरे सेटा फिर जोड़ी मार्गारेट रीडिंग कर कहवा कथा जे एउठु आरंभ होई सिविलाइजेशन लॉजिक बीइंग यदि फेमुर भांगी जीव कोनोसी एनिमल और बंची के रहि परिबो अन्य माने तो खाइ जिवे अन्य माने तो साहाय्य करिबे से कि खाद्य संग्रह कर परिबो दौड़ी के परिबो खाद्य संग्रह कर परिबो अन्य माने तो खाइबे इट्स बिकॉज एटा जोड़ी जी ता माने केही ताको साहाय्य करचिन अर्थात जो समवेदना होची सभ्यतार मूल आत्मा सभ्यतार मूल आत्मा होची समवेदना जेतेबेले वार हबो सेतेबेले जो समवेदना रो सुअटा टिके संकुचित हो जिवो भाबी कि देखो जितबेले वार हबो मो बापा जदि चली गले वार रे के मारदेला मो भितर आउ से समवेदना एटलिस्ट 30 वर्ष पर्यंत आसीबनी पर कोन हेबो कहबो तो दैट्स अ सिविलाइजेशनल कॉस्ट द स्पिरिचुअल ग्रोथ halts the reasoning takes a backseat if I am a victim or some of my close ones are victim and war doesn't look at who is the soldier who has fired on me. In a war there are collateral ताको गोटे भलो मिलिटरी टर्म अछि collateral damage कहନ୍ତି ताको मिलिटरी टर्म पुलिस टर्म collateral damage माने मु ताको मारिया पई चाहनतरी ये घटना बेले किछि किछि मरि जिबे collateral damage and that's accepted ठीक अछि इ जाका सिविलियन मरि even when the war continues now my next question why and who benefits ए जो कार्टून टी देखछन्ती आप उदय देव आंकिछन्ती एबे ए किछि दिन बेले बाहरछि जे देखो क्लोजली देखिबे सेउटु आपण जानिबे जे ये वार काहकु बेनिफिट करछि दोछि just look at this cartoon closely often cartoons tell you things which otherwise probably we do not understand easily cartoon देखो तो बुझिबे किए बेनिफिट नउछि कार्टून टाइम सर देखो बोमा गुड़ा अच्छी ऊपर जड़े मोटा लोकटे बसी रक्तटा गड़ी आसुची किंतु मोटा लोकटा हसुची ता माने जी ये बोमा गुड़ा तैयारी करछि सी हसुची एमिति जेते बोमा नहीं जिवे सेते मु लाभ पाइबी एबे मु आपन को केतोडा फिगर दोछि ये सब फिगर पब्लिक डोमेन रे रहिछि मु कोटा इन्वेंट करनी सब पब्लिक डोमेन रो फिगर इजराइल रो 10टी व्हाट दे कॉल आयरन डोम बैटरीज इन ऑपरेशन आपण माने तार नाम भी सुनिथिबे पेपर रे बाहर छ आयरन डोम गोटे सिस्टम आयरन डोम सिस्टम व्हाट इज दैट सिस्टम सेथि रे गोटे जगह रे 60 रु 80 इंटरसेप्टर मिसाइल अछि एवं से मिसाइल गोटे को प्रोग्राम धरो आरो पटो गोटे कोनटे आसीला ये मिसाइल्स आर प्रोग्राम टू ट्रैक दैट एंड डिस्ट्रॉय बिफोर इट हिट्स से गोटे एरिया को पूरा सेमती करके रखिचंती जो थिरे इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू अटैक इजराइल कारण तुम यदि मिसाइल टे छाड़िबो रॉकेट टे छाड़िबो बिफोर इट हिट्स इजराइल दे कैन आइडेंटिफाई ट्रैक एंड डिस्ट्रॉय कहबो केते सहज बट इट कॉस्ट्स अ लॉट ऑफ मनी लुक एट द मनी आगे फेल कहीं कला मु आगुरु टिके कहिथिली जे एका संगे से 5000 रु 7000 रॉकेट फायर करथि This is the reason. Because Yanko pakhare ette nothila ette intercept kariba pai. They never thought that somebody will fire 5,000 rockets at a time. That's why it failed. Now, each one of this missile, that's the cost. Each one. Either बुझी नहीं होतो जे Iron Dome जो technology go cost. And now, many countries are asking Israel to supply them Iron Dome technology and these missiles. Israel धन्यवाद और राज का बुझपन. एबे देखिबा हमें Hamas mostly uses homemade custom rocket. Mostly. तांकर से rocket टा बेसी use करते समय. जोड़ा समय locally भी manufacture करी पारु चंती. Each rocket 3 लाख टका. War is not inexpensive paper. सस्ता जिनिस नुह. War is huge money. एबे गोटे कंपैरेटिव कॉस्ट रे दबा आमे भी से जो वार से कोन वेपन प्रोक्योरमेंट रेस रे आमे भी होछु समस्त अछंती कॉम्पिटिटिव रेस रे होछु आमे भी होछु हमर थ्रेट देखुछु एपटे पाकिस्तान सपोर्ट चीन सो वी हैव टू हैव समथिंग टू डिटर सो वी बॉट राफेल we bought 36 Rafale. The cost of each one Rafale, जोटा पार्लियामेंट रे कोई चंती, सेटा होची 670 crore. Parliament रे, है ना? This doesn't include the associated एडा भी पार्लियामेंट रे कोई चंती. I have taken from them. It doesn't include the cost of associated equipment, weapons, India-specific enhancements, maintenance support and services. So, I debate cost That was the debate. I'm not going into that. I'm going into what the government said. 670. Then I made a quick calculation. IIMC Bhubaneswar tiyari kariya hore kete kharcha hoitila. And this is also public domain re achi. 264 कोटी टका गोटिए राफेल 670 कोटी टका 36 टा राफेल आनी छु आपण माने जो माने एम्स जीवार दुर्भाग्य होइतिबो खुशी रे तो एम्स के जाने सामाजिक मानक छडा किंबा जे माने व्हाट्सएप रे जाती तांको छडा भाषण देबा पई मु जिमती जाइति खुशी तो कहीं जाते और जो मैंने भी जाइए सब सेठिकार अवस्था देखी आपण मैंने देखी केवल ओडिशा नुहे सारा उत्तर कौन सारा पूर्व भारत लोक मैंने को अवस्था रे एम्स रे हंतसंत होती एवं केवल चिकित्सा टीकक पई केमिति होती सेटा को मने पकादु से दृश्य गुडी को मने पकादु शतरंजी बिछेकी प्लास्टिक दरी रे बिछेकी माँ छोट पुओ को धरिकी मेदिनीपुर रु मुर्शिदाबाद रु एपट रु आंध्र प्रदेश रो भितरु से आछि भुवनेश्वर रे सेठी रोची 3 दिन हेलानी 4 दिन हेलानी से दृश्य मन पकातो एई दृश्य मन पकातो एई फिगर मन पकातो या परे आपण फ्यूटिलिटी ऑफ वॉर and this is what the government can justify this. We are procuring Rafale because Pakistan has F-15 and tomorrow they will procure F-55 that advanced version. China पाखरे आउरी कोन अछि हम भलो भाबरे जानि नु सेटा सार कहि परिबे एबे आछंती किंतु रॉकेट विषय कहि परिबे कि कहि परिबे तो जहा they are more advanced in technology anyways ठीक अछि because they have competitive ताकर एटा जो हमको रखियो पई पड़िबो otherwise we feel threatened है ना and both the countries बांग्लादेश लोक भी आसी एठी चिकित्सित होछथि पंजाब रे पाकिस्तान रो लोक भी आसी चिकित्सित होछथि because they do not have quality hospitals Now, I'm coming towards the end of my presentation. How do we live in peace? এইটা হচ্ছে গোটে পেন্টিং জনে আবি চট্টোপাধ্যায় বলি জনে ভদ্রলোক সে পেন্টিংটা করছেন না ଦେଇଥିଲେ ভায়োলেন্স ওয়ার ଏବେ ମୁଁ ଲଗେଇ ଦେଇଛି ଆପଣମାନେ ବୁଝନ୍ତୁ abstract painting ବାକି କଥା ମୁଁ କହିପାରିବି ୟା ଭିତରେ ଯଦି ଆପଣ ଲକ୍ଷ୍ୟ କରିଥିବେ ତାର କଲର ଏଟା abstract painting କୁ ଏଇଭଳି ଭାବରେ ପେଣ୍ଟିଂ ମାନେ ଦେଖନ୍ତି ସାହିତ୍ୟିକ ମାନେ ଦେଖନ୍ତି ଏଟାକୁ ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ ପ୍ରଥମ ଇମ୍ପ୍ରେସନ କ'ଣ ଆଖି ବୁଝନ୍ତୁ କ'ଣ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ ଆସୁଛି ହଁ ତାପରେ ଆପଣ ଆବିଷ୍କାର କରିବେ ୟା ମାନେ ଧୀରେ 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 ଆଧୁନିକ କବିତାରେ ବି ସେଇଆ ହୁଏ ବୋଲି ଆଧୁନିକ କବିମାନେ କହନ୍ତି ମୁଁ କହିପାରିବି ସହଦେବ ଅଛି ସିଏ କହିପାରିବେ ଏଟା ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲି ସେଇଆ ମାନେ ଏ ଯେଉଁ ରକ୍ତ ଇଏରେ ବନ୍ୟା ହେଉଛି ସେଥିରେ ଉବୁଟୁବୁ ହେଉଛନ୍ତି ଲୋକ ଏବଂ ସେମାନେ ଆର୍ତ୍ତନାଦ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ହାଉ ଡୁ ୱି କମ୍ ଆଉଟ୍ ଅଫ୍ ଦିସ୍ ସିଚୁଏସନ୍ ଇଟ୍ସ ସିଙ୍କ୍ ୱିଥ୍ ମାଇ the area that I am going into, so I put it there. Interestingly, I mean, a ବର୍ଷ ଯୋଗକୁ ସଂଯୋଗକୁ ଏ ବର୍ଷ International Day of Peace ର theme ବି ଥିଲା ଏଇଆ ଯେ actions for peace, our ambitions for global goals. Next. So, ଏଥିରେ it has two sets of answers. Actually, what works for peace and what we do. And second is what doesn't work and what we shouldn't do or we do not do. ଆମେ ଏଟା କରିବା କଥା ଗୋଟେ ଗୋଟେ ଦେଖିବା what do not work. No long term military solutions to political problems they ହେଇପାରିବ ଜମ୍ମୁ କାଶ୍ମୀରରେ ଆମେ ବହୁତ କରିକି ଦେଖିଦେଲେ ନର୍ଥ ଇଷ୍ଟରେ ଦେଖୁଛନ୍ତି ଆଫ୍ସା କେବେଠୁ ଲଗେଇଛନ୍ତି ମଣିପୁର ତଥାପି ଜଳୁଛି କେବେଠୁ ଆମର ଲାଗିକି ରହିଛି ଆଫ୍ସା ଭାବୁନାହାନ୍ତି ତ ଲଙ୍ଗ ଟର୍ମ ମିଲିଟାରୀ ସଲ୍ୟୁସନ ପଲିଟିକାଲ ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମର ଅସମ୍ଭବ ये जो इस्राएल पूरा यदि हमस को खत्म भी कर दो पूरा दे हैव द एबिलिटी टू डू दिस तांकर जो इंटेलिजेंस इज वेरी शार्प राइट आई हैव अ different theory why Mossad failed this time. They shouldn't have, but why they failed, I have a different theory, but I am not going to talk about that right now. Apan kon bhabuchandi Israel has the ability to kill each and every member of Hamas. They have the ability. खोजी खोजी के मार देबे 5 वर्ष भीतर पूरा केते थिबे 1000 5000 10000 20000 जो कोर टीम डा केते थिबे एति तो ताको पूरा खत्म करिवार एबिलिटी वर्ल्ड वाइड खाली पैलेस्टाइन रे नुए पूरा वर्ल्ड वाइड जाई कि ताको खत्म करिवार एबिलिटी इस्राएल रो अछि बट विल दैट सॉल्व द प्रॉब्लम माय आंसर इज नो बिकॉज़ देयर विल बी अ बेबी हु विल बी टोल्ड तेरा नाना शहीद था तेरा अमुक अमुक था ता भितरे जोड़ी उठिबो सी आ गोटे हमसे बाहर पक्का मिलिटरी सॉल्यूशन लॉन्ग टर्म नहीं करेगा now no military intervention can resolve profound underlying political social economic and governance problems or sustain peace no so in fact it can sometimes complicate like the Israel issue has become very complicated ये भी कुछ मोर रेटी हक अछि सी भी कुछ मोर रेटी हक अछि अपने केमति करिवो करत हाउ फार कैन यू गो है ये कुछ मो 1000 वर्ष होला सी कुछ मो 3000 वर्ष होला ना आपण देखि ना मु देखि ना रिकॉर्डेड हिस्ट्री अछि कित करियो UN has also realized this and accorded what they call primacy of politics but it's a very complicated layered nuanced work which is difficult but definitely not undoable. History has proven that not undoable, not impossible, difficult definitely. What work? Relentless peace building activities based on hope for mankind. Second is compassion and world perspective. World perspective is with the right kind of education, right kind of leadership, probably. Probably लोके जेतेबेले बुझिया पे लगिले, we are often used as pawns in a larger game plan, and we are fighting among each other. Probably जेतेबेले तकर प्रत्येक देशर लोक leadership it realize करियो जे we gain more when we live in peace, which has happened in Europe. If you closely read European history, they have been fighting tooth and nail for centuries. जितने कंट्री अच्छे यूरोप रे फॉर सेंचुरीज आज से मैंने एकाठी है कि रही थी गोटे यू भी गोटे टंका भी चले because they realize that they stand to gain. Probably that, or probably learning to forgive, learning to forget. Forget এটা গান্ধী भी କହିଛନ୍ତି, মার্টিন লুথার কিং କହିଛନ୍ତି এবং গৌতম বুদ্ধ କହିଛନ୍ତି এবং ଅନ୍ୟ ଦାର୍ଶନିକ ମାନେ କହିଛନ୍ତି. Now ଏବେ ଗୋଟେ ବହି ଏବେ ତ ନୁହଁ ମାନେ 2011 ରୁ ବାହାର ଲେକ୍ଚର ବହି ଷ୍ଟିଭେନ୍ ପିଙ୍କର ବୋଲି ଜଣେ ଭଦ୍ରଲୋକ ଆନ୍ଥ୍ରୋପୋଲୋଜିଷ୍ଟ ବେସିକାଲି ସେ ଗୋଟେ ବହି ଲେଖିଛନ୍ତି ଯେ ବେଟର ଏଞ୍ଜେଲ୍ସ ଫର ଅଫ୍ ଆୱାର ନେଚର. ସେଥିରେ ସେ ଗୋଟେ ଅଡାସିୟସ୍ କ୍ଲେମ୍ କରିଛନ୍ତି. His claim is today we may be living in the most peaceable era in our species existence. मानव सभ्यतार सबुठारु शांतिपूर्ण समय रे आमे वर्तमान बास करूछु. एटा ताकर क्लेम 2011 रे बहिटिए देउछ. कोथरे से बेस करी कि बहि लेखचती. नेक्स्ट ताको बहि लेखचती आगे ये देखियो तो एटा होछि ताकर थीसिस रो बेसिस. And he has analyzed huge data. 10,000 वर्षर कौन वार डेटा कलेक्ट करिकी कोलैट करिकी बड़ परिश्रम करिकी से ताकर बहिटी करछो. जदि आपण मानक भितरु काहारी ए विषय टिके इंटरेस्ट था काइंडली ए बहिटी भी आपण पढि पार. आपण तांको सहित राजी ही पारती नो ही पार. अनेक राजी होती. दैट्स ओके. सो ताकर जो बेसिस ता थिला ए so the rate of death in battle for modern state societies is much lower than prehistoric and non-state societies, even accounting the world war. That was his basis. Second is the major power गुड़ाका आउ परस्पर फाइट करना. अमेरिका रशिया फाइट करचंती कि कोन नथि प्रॉक्सी करी कि करचंती. यूक्रेन को अमेरिका सहायता करछि ना. रशिया भी आपको सहायता करछि. ताकर प्रॉक्सी देखि करछ. निजे आउ फाइट सेकंड वर्ल्ड वॉर टू मेजर जो कंट्रीज हेले निजे भीतर फाइट करना. ऑल आउट रशिया बाहरी गला, अमेरिका बाहरी गला, ये ताको चारटा न्यूक्लियर बोमा पकेला, से ताको न्यूक्लियर चारटा बोमा पकेला. समस्त पाखरे अछि. सब देखिए बोले भारत पाखरे भी अछि, पाकिस्तान पाखरे भी अछि. आमे भी लड़ा लड़ी हेलुनी 1946 47 रो. अवश्य से पाकिस्तान पाखरे नथिला. हमर 84 पर हैला ताके ता पर इमीडिएटली ता पर हैला कि तो अछि. कारगिल बेले ये भी धमकेले, से भी धमकेले पके दो न्यूक्लियर बोम लास्ट में की पके जा व्हाटएवर. तो सेमान को कहला कथा होची जे एटा ताकर पिंकर कर सबमिशन. बट देयर इज एन और आई मीन काउंटर आर्गुमेंट. द काउंटर आर्गुमेंट इज नेक्स्ट एटा कला हाँ डेथ तो कमी जाइए, रेट ऑफ डेथ भी कमी जाइए. किंतु रेट ऑफ डेथ कमी वाला पांचटा आउ का मतलब कारण थे पे हमर मेडिकल साइंस आगु बढ़ी जाय. आगु उल्टा बाजी गला मरि जाउतरा. अभी ऑपरेशन करके बाहर कर दो किंतु बची जाउछ. रेट ऑफ डेथ तो कमी जाबो. नंबर ऑफ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट बढ़ची. सो आई मीन देयर आर आर्गुमेंट्स and counter arguments, but what I feel after reading this and the counter arguments, next data. The human alive today has less probability of being killed in a violent conflict than at any point in the past, which is no doubt a progress. That's what I feel strongly. Despite 10,000 people dying in Gaza, despite so many people dying in Ukraine. Next. Now what are the issue? आमे कहलु जे हां टिके कमी छी जे जहा करछि. तो ता ड्राइवर किए The drivers of the decline in violence. This is Pinker କହିଛନ୍ତି ତାଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ ତ ଗୋଟିଏ ମୁଁ ଜଏନ୍ ଯୋଡ଼ିଛି ବାକି ଉପର ଚାରିଟା ସିଏ କହିଛନ୍ତି. First is nation state. କହିଲେ nation state ବଢୁଛି, particularly democracies. So they do not have a monopoly on the legitimate use of force. Fascist ହେଲା चलला, सी कहला चलला. आमर एठी डेमोक्रेसी विरोधी दल अच्छा सी 5टा कथा कहे बुझ कि आर्मी को कहीदे प्रधानमंत्री सी चलीगला लड़ाई कला हम कि हम डेमोक्रेसी तो हम नेशन स्टेट हम से फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट आस्ते 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 कमीगले. Commerce, this is another important area. Now trade between nations allow us to engage in what we call positive sum interactions. You also earn, I also earn. You benefit, I also benefit. Trade. जितने global trade बढ़ी ची धीरे 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 सेटा गुटे खड़ा नढ़ाई करी कि तार आनी कि लूटपाट करी आनी कि लाभ बेपार करी आनिबा बेपार करी अधिका लूट कर नवा कौन अच्छे जो 5 टका दीजिए 7 टका बिकवा कर लूट करवा सी भी से भाविला उभय उभय को टे लूट लाट करने को लगे कि नड़ा नड़िया बुझे calming effect. Third is feminization. Ladies sitting here, I must congratulate them. जितने female power धीरे 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 पावर को टिके पावर रियल पावर को एक्सरसाइज करिया पई लागिले सेते बेले सोसाइटी रे दिसिले आगु तो दिसुई नथिले आगु तो पचरथिले सेते बेले क्रमशः दे हैड सूदिंग impact on everything. But that doesn't mean that women cannot fight. They can. Look at Indira Gandhi. She fought single-handedly. 71, despite the threat from America. Look at Golda Meir. नुआ नुआ स्वाधीन होता है इस्राएल एकदम नुआ स्वाधीन है कुआड़ कुआड़ आसिकी जीव मैंने पहुंची गोटे लैंड रे जो पानी भी नहीं 5टा देश एका संगे आक्रमण कले डिफिटेड ऑल ऑफ देम गोल्डा मेयर. तो एमिति नुहे जे नारी नड़ी परिबो किंतु having said that they have a soothing effect on body politics on society on society. That third is rationality. धीरे धीरे rationality रा बढ़ुची आगे कले जिमती थिला राजा जा कहला राजा तो मो मते भलो दिसुनी ताकू मुंड काट अलाउद्दीन खिलजी एटा वाज अ फिक्शन से जो रानी पद्मिनी को से प्रकृत रे बाहा पई चाहिले और ता पई सेठी जाई कि ओम पर पकले कांग्रेस एटा फिक्शन बट स्टफ लाइक दैट हैपेंड. The last point I have added. I do not know whether I am right or not, but I have my own argument. Mass media and mass communication. It made it possible for people to see outsiders not as dangerous people, but as humans. And second thing, they knew. I mean, mass media is one tool which made people aware of certain facts about which they were unaware. मास मीडिया लोक जानते कि गोटे यार डोमर तार टंका एत लगुच से लगुच किए के अस्त्र शस्त्र कंपनी गुड़ाक यही 3 वर्ष भितर केते लाभ कर बेसिकली तो न्यूयॉर्क स्टेट स्टॉक एक्सचेंज कारबार चले शेयर केते बढ़िला कौन कला आम ये बस कि जाना आप से जानवे ना लाभ केते कौट जान स्टॉक टा केते बढ़ला बैलेंस शीट देखिए एवं आप बस देख पारे नाइदर टाइम नॉर एते why should we do it? But when the media does it, goes into that and brings that in front of you, then you realize, oh my God, the समस्त का शेयर कमी जाउची ताकटा केंदे बढ़ी जाउची पोर्ट शेयर बढ़ी जाउची किन बढ़ी जाउची ताकर अन्य सब कमी जाउची ना So that's the impact of mass communication, which makes people aware. Look what's happening. The silver lining is this: in modern democracies, violence is no longer seen as a default option for solving problems. We are now prepared to weigh other options. खाली नड़ाई करो खाली यदि नड़ाई करो ही था तारे भारत पाकिस्तान एतरो का आउ पास करो नड़ा नड़ी में ही सारे. So I am heading towards the end of my presentation in another 5 minutes. Step on peace building endeavors. Give peace a chance. All of us can do that. ये गोटे अमूल रो ये थिला कार्टून थिला सेट में लगे ची से नो टू वॉर नाटू नाटू गोटे गीत है बहुत पॉपुलर गीत है थिला इनफैक्ट एटा कोन आपन करे जो ऑस्कर रे भी तको हां ए नाटू नाटू एनीवे सेट में अमूल एटा भी सेट में लगे. So I had an iconic song by John Lennon, Give Peace a Chance. Yeah, आप गूगल ले सर्च करेंगे सुनी ने देख some issue with the play. Next, sir. Next. There are roadmaps of thought peace. And from ancient wisdom to teaching by sages, apostles, we have roadmaps in front of you. Here is one. It a Baha'i kora lekha. Baha'u'llah. Baha'i sect janko yere arambo. See here question. I mean Islam को बहुत गाली दो. हम मित्र वाले. हमने. है ना? This is what Baha'i has said. तंग लिखा है. He says that when a thought of war comes, oppose it by strong thought of peace. That's what Baha'i has said. We don't read, we don't take that here or here. ये सर्वे बहुत सुखिना गोटे पूरा गीतटे मु एठी आपण मानकु सुनिया ପାଇଁ चाहूतिली जोटा अगेन हमर सनातन भारतीय जोदरे केवल मनीष कथा कुआ सर्वे बहुत सुखिना माने तू काली सुखिना वृक्ष हो समस्त स्थावर जंगम एनिमेट इनएनिमेट एवरीबॉडी शुड बी हैप्पी and should be without any diseases. सर्वे संतु निरामय. So we have road maps. The only thing that we need probably to question that are we willing to live in peace? Are we willing to shun our collective vanity and greed, our urge to dominate, our preference to hold on to faith over reason and dogma over compassion? Are we willing to do this? If we are, collectively, then probably we can have peace on this earth. Thank you so much.